Hey, what's up everybody? TJ here. So when I was working in the shop, one of the most common things I saw when people would come in to buy their first setups is being on a pretty tight budget and not really knowing where to spend a little extra money and where to save money to ultimately have the best experience out there on the mountain. So today I wanted to sit down and chat about that a little bit. All right, and the first piece of gear I want to talk about is boots. Arguably the most important. First thing I want to mention is everyone's feet are different, so take the time to try on a few different brands and find a boot that fits your foot well. Some boots are going to have a wider toe box, some boots are going to have a narrower heel pocket or a tighter instep. All those things are going to be factors to consider. And the cheapest boot isn't always going to fit you well. And even if you just go like one level up from entry level, it's usually going to have better materials, like a better liner. I think that can make a huge difference in the overall comfort. And I'd also recommend looking at boots with an independent upper and lower lacing zone. So like a double BOA boot, or I prefer a standard lace, just so you have full control over the fit. I think when you're just starting out, the other features that you might find in higher end boots don't matter as much, but look for something a little bit softer that fits your foot well. I mean, at the end of the day, if your feet aren't happy, you're not going to be having fun out there. So I think it's worth spending a little bit of extra money to get a quality boot that fits your foot really well. The second thing I want to highlight is goggles. Don't get some cheap knockoffs. Obviously, it's really important to be able to see where you're going. And I think there's a lot of great reasons to go with a more reputable brand. First off, they're usually going to have a better design, more thought out features, better materials, better construction, better customer service, all that kind of stuff. But the main reason I'd recommend going with more quality goggles is they're going to have better optical clarity. They're not going to fog as easily. And most brands have some tech in the lenses that are going to give you better contrast, so you'll be able to see the contours in the snow better. And it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. You could look at something like the Smith Squad XL. I ran that goggle for a whole season. It's great, comes in at a great price. Or if you look during like a sale, you know, Labor Day, Black Friday, end of season, that kind of stuff, a lot of times you'll be able to find really nice goggles going for very cheap, like even under $100 a lot of times. So don't just settle for some Amazon knockoffs. Try to find some nice goggles and start off on the right foot. Another purchase I'd recommend is looking at some quality base layers. Heat management and staying dry is huge in having a comfortable time out there on the mountain through the whole season. And it doesn't have to be super expensive, just a dedicated mountain base layer. And I think one of the biggest benefits, aside from the insulation it provides, is they're usually moisture wicking. So when you sweat, it's gonna pull that moisture away from your body and help keep you a little bit warmer. If you're not on a super tight budget, I would also recommend looking at a merino wool layer. Really anything that touches the skin, merino wool. I switched to that a few years ago and it's been a complete game changer. A couple benefits with that is better insulation when you sweat. They'll still stay warm and don't get cold and clammy like cotton will. And they're naturally odor resistant, so they don't get smelly as quick. And while we're on the topic of layers that touch the skin, I do think it's worth investing in at least one pair of snowboard socks. It's cheap insurance to just help make sure your feet are as happy as possible out there. Usually around 20 bucks. I picked up these Stance merino socks for about 15 bucks last fall. And there's a few reasons. One, they're gonna go well above your snowboard boot, so that's not gonna be an issue. They're gonna fit better. They're usually like an articulated fit, and they're gonna have insulation and reinforcements where you need it as well, so they should last a long time. Definitely worth that small investment in my opinion to just help keep those feet a little bit happier. Another quick one I want to throw out there that I feel like gets overlooked oftentimes, or you feel like you might not need, but I would highly recommend, is a face mask. Don't just wear a bandana or something you have laying around, or get like a cheap budget one from the resort base area. Get a quality face mask. It's going to protect your face from the cold. It's going to protect from wind. It's going to have UV protection as well on sunny days. And it's just going to make you a little bit more comfortable out there, in my opinion. I've been wearing an air hole face mask recently, so I can have that tucked up into my goggles and protect my nose as well while avoiding fogging issues. And I wear a face mask full-time, year-round, regardless of the temperature. I think it's a great piece of gear, super cheap, and definitely worth spending that 20, 30 bucks to get a nice one. Okay, and the next thing I want to mention is one of my personal favorites, arguably the most versatile piece of gear you can buy. That's a mid layer with no hood. I wear the Arc'teryx Atom LT. I've had it for literally 6 years. It's been amazing. I think it's super versatile for heat management. You can wear it under a hoodie, under a jacket. You can even wear it around town, use it for other sports and other activities. It's very packable, so you can put it in pretty much any backpack that you have a little bit of extra space. Just stuff it down in there, no problem. And it's usually a moisture wicking layer as well. So, you know, if your base layer's wicking moisture, it can go to that mid layer and continue to get further and further away from your body. You can definitely start off layering with hoodies like most of us have done, but once you have the budget, I would highly recommend investing in a good mid layer. It really is an epic piece of gear for heat management, and I can't recommend it enough. So look into getting a nice mid layer. And one last thing I feel like I have to include in this video is get a helmet. Just get something that you feel like looks good, that you're comfortable in, and protect your head out there. That is not a piece of gear that you want to skip out on to save some money. So I hope this video helps you guys out and helps point you in the right direction on some places where it might be worth spending just a little bit of extra money to make sure you have the best time out there on the mountain. If you're curious about any of the gear that I wear, I'm gonna have that all linked down in the description below if you want to check that out. Please drop a like if you got some value. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you in a new video soon.